Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bob's Bookshelf. I'm your host, Bob. Today, a terrific little book. It's not super big. Range by Penelope Umbrico, published by Aperture. And there's a fascinating story about how this book is constructed conceptually and what's going on here. And so I think we'll just get right into it. And let's pin the image and we'll get started. Okay, so like I said, this is a fairly small scale book. It's about 6x9. Beautiful, super cool foil stamping here on the cover for the title. Also interesting foil stamping on the spine, and then foil stamping on the back as well in reverse, which gives us a hint about something in terms of the way this book is constructed, okay? But first, a little bit of background on what's going on here. So Penelope Umbrico is a photographer, and her work often is about reusing other kinds of imagery and then processing it in different kinds of ways, and then contextually locating it in a different kind of place. So for this particular project, the Range project, she looked at mountains from Aperture's Masters of Photography book series. So this is photography about photography, in a sense. And then in addition, she downloaded, as she describes, hundreds of apps for her iPhone off the internet. And then she used those apps and the various filters to re-photograph all of these mountains. So let's take a look, because it's really quite amazing what happens here. So we have the cover. This gives you a hint of what's happening, and we begin. So right away, we see that the mountains are being treated in all kinds of ways. We also see that the page sizes are different, and it also becomes quite clear right away that the orientation of the mountains is changing. Sometimes they're what we would think of as upside down, and sometimes they're right side up. Sometimes it's quite clear that the image has been photographed off of a screen. You can see some sort of moire happening here from the interference with the screen texture. And then other times the images are treated in a more straightforward way. But throughout every picture of the mountain, and as you can see, after a while, it's only a few mountains repeating over and over again, is treated in all of these different ways, okay? Also, what's happening here is that this is one long, continuous sheet of paper. So the book is one long sheet. All right, so it's like a mountain range in that way, in that it extends off into space. And then, but of course, you can still view it as spreads in a more traditional way. Okay, so sometimes we can really see the pixels on the edges of the imagery, and sometimes everything just sort of disappears into a colorful mass. Really fascinating book. It's a gem. I got this book ages ago. I think this is from 2014. And every once in a while I pull it out and it's just a delight. And so we've gotten to the end. And then this makes us realize that maybe there's another way to view this. And of course, you can go through back again the other way, which allows us to see and experience the images not only in a different order and in a different orientation, but some of the images now become right side up, whereas before they were upside down. So there's like this lovely mirroring going on here and that sort of thing. Okay. So these are all digital effects being used to treat photographs of mountains that were shot originally by other photographers in black and white. So it's like process on top of process on top of process. So it's really this fascinating kind of circular sort of relationship. Now, the other thing that's interesting to look at here is if you look from the top, you can see all the different page lengths as you go through, right? And it's really terrific. And then in addition, if you pull this out, except that I don't have it oriented correctly, let's try this again. You pull this out, you can see revealed within the inside of the boards are statements, right? They're making you work for it here. So this is the explanation of what's happening in the book. And then here's a bio of the artist. And then even more interesting is that along the bottom, let's see, can I make this visible? It's not that hard to see, but it's hard to make it visible for the camera. Let's try this. All along here are the names of all the different filters that are used. So literally the entire inside of the book, all the way through, are all of the filters. So these are all along here. So they have names like Cooling, Violet, Orton, Vibrance, Tilt Shift, Holga Art, Cyanotype, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it goes on for, the list is literally hundreds long. All right. So not a super complicated book in terms of the graphic design. It's one idea that runs through in a beautiful way, exquisite production values. It's not easy to get everything to line up beautifully in this way. You know, this is a bunch of sheets of paper that meet on the edges. Let's see if this is one of the edges right here. So you can see there's two sheets of paper that meet there. And the corner is almost unnoticeable, right? You can kind of tell maybe that these are joined, but it's not that overt as you're going through. So it's not really impinging on your experience as a viewer. So anyway, an exquisite and lovely little object. It's one of my treasures. Every once in a while, I get this out and look through it, and I notice something different every time. Let's go back to the other view. All right. So Range by Penelope Umbrico, published by Aperture, 2014. Fantastic book. I just looked it up on Aperture's website to make sure I got the year correct, and it's been reduced in price. So no reason not to have this. It's a fantastic little book. All right, that's it for this time. Thanks a million, and we'll see you again.